बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। तमाम साथियों को या अली मदद, तौफीक, ताहीद, हिम्मत व यारी, तौफीक, ताहीद, हिम्मत व यारी। या मौलाए मेहरबान, या मौलाए मेहरबान। हम गरीब व नाचार तेरे हुजूर में हाथ उठाकर सर को खम करके दुआ करते हैं मौला कि इस सेशन के अंदर तो हमारे साथ रहना, अपने नूर को ताईद के तौर पर हमारी तरफ भेजना, क्योंकि मौला तो जानता है कि हम कितने गरीब हैं मौला इस इल्म के अंदर, और वो बयानात हमसे नहीं हो पाते हैं मौला कि जो तू हमसे करवाना चाहता है। काश काश हमने अपनी जवानी में, अपने माजी में कुछ मेहनत कर ली होती इल्म व हिकमत के लिए, इबादत के अंदर, गिरिया वजारी के अंदर, तो शायद आज ये शर्मिंदगी ना उठानी पड़ती मौला। लेकिन फिर भी ला तकनतु मिन रहमतुल्लाह, हमें तेरी रहमत पर पूरा भरोसा है मौला। तो हमें तौफीक इनायत फरमा, ताईद इनायत फरमा, हिम्मत इनायत फरमा, और हमें यारी इनायत फरमा मौला। या नूर मौलाना शाह करीम अल हुसैनी हाज़िर इमाम, तेरे ही पाक और मुबारक नाम से हम इस सेशन का आगाज करते हैं। जिस तरह से हमने अपने पिछले सेशन के अंदर ये समझने की कोशिश की थी कि हमारे तरीके के अंदर जो बातिनी तरीका है, इंटेलेक्चुअल, अक्ल, नॉलेज, इल्म, और इल्म भी इमाम का हकीकी इल्म एक बहुत बड़ा ह्यूज रोल प्ले करता है। The knowledge, the ilm, the hikmat, the wisdom within the knowledge of the Imam plays a huge role in our tariqah, and the single reason is that our tariqah is a batini tariqah, and because it is batini tariqah, we are not able to see and understand our tariqah the way Imam wants us to understand. And what does Imam want from us? He wants us to follow the Farman, progress our soul and ourselves, enlighten our intellect, so we may recognize the Imam of the time. And when I say Imam of the time, this time is timelessness. I'm not talking about 2020 or any of the year you can imagine, but Imam of the timelessness. Why? Because if we do not understand the Imam and the Imamat from the beginning till the end, then how will we understand and recognize the Imam of our time. So when I say Imam of the time, we are talking about timelessness. Imam of our time, we are talking about Shah Karim al-Saini Hazir Imam Salawatullah alayhi. So this is the purpose of this knowledge, these sessions, this giving the time and knowledge nazrana, and I can see that all of you are giving so many hours a day after the day, after day, after day, on every day after another, listening to different lectures, joining different sessions. So we may be able to receive and understand the ultimate knowledge of the Imam, and inshallah enhance our soul, elevate our soul to be close to the nur of Imam, and inshallah one day fana fi Imam. So before we go into our session, let's take some of the questions which were sent to us after the last week's session. And there are some beautiful questions here. Some are quick inquiry, and we can tackle them in seconds and minutes. But there are some nice questions that we can ponder on and we can learn from together as a group. The very first question is from Esmina Visram, and she asked, before we were created, where were we? Were we with Allah? And if so, what was the purpose of life if we already knew Him? That's a great question. तो पहले मैं उर्दू में भी इसको रिपीट कर देता हूँ कि हम पैदा होने से पहले कहाँ थे, क्या हम अल्लाह के साथ थे, और अगर अल्लाह के साथ थे तो फिर हम अल्लाह को जानते थे, तो फिर इस जन्म का क्या मतलब है? Great question. Okay. So, first of all, when Allah said that I wanted to be recognized, अब तमाम को पता है, we all have heard of this again and again from different missionaries and in different lectures, that Allah said, I want to be recognized. So He created the human. If we take this as a generic, खाली इसको अगर हम कॉमन अल्फाजों के अंदर लेते हैं कि खुदा ने चाहा कि मुझे लोग पहचाने, तो उसने लोगों को बनाया, दुनिया को बनाया. लेकिन हम देखते हैं कि दुनिया तो बन गई और दुनिया को बने हुए भी हजारों साल निकल गए. How many people have recognized Allah? And we will say, not very many. According to Imam's Farman, there are only few in our history that have reached to their highest level of recognition of Nur of Allah. Then comes your second question. Where were we? तो उसको समझने के लिए कि हम पहले कहाँ थे, हमको अपनी रूह की जो पोजीशन है उसको जानना होगा और समझना होगा कि हमारी रूह के कितने अलग-अलग एट्रीब्यूशंस है और स्टेप्स है. The journey of our soul, we need to understand that. And what I'm about to tell you, you may not have heard this before unless you have done personal search. क्योंकि हमारा जो खोजा तरीका है, जो खोजा ट्रेडिशन है, हम हिंदू मजहब से आए हैं, तो हमारा माइंड इंस्टेंटली रीइनकार्नेशन की तरफ दौड़ता है. આપણું દિમાગ છે ને ફોરન થી રીઇન્કાર્નેશન ની તરફ ભાગે છે. That is not right and that is not true. We all said that we are from Allah and we will return back to Allah. We all say that, right? But then we have this ill concept of reincarnation. So are we saying we are from Allah and will return back to Allah? Are we saying that وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ, we are one with the Imam? If we are saying that, then we need to understand the status or the different status of our soul. Our soul or the human soul initially were in particles. वो ज़र्रात की सूरत में होता है, पार्टिकल की सूरत में होता है. उसको खाबिंदा फ्रोजन सोल कहते हैं. खाबिंदा के लिटरली मायने होते हैं सोई हुई, स्लीपिंग. लेकिन इंग्लिश के अंदर स्लीपिंग डजंट साउंड राइट, इज मोर लाइक अ फ्रोजन सोल, मीनिंग अभी तक उसके अंदर जान नहीं होती है. रूह तो होती है, जान नहीं होती है, यानी कि अभी तक वो जिंदा नहीं होती है, फ्रोजन होती है, स्लीपिंग होती है पार्टिकल्स के अंदर. वो पार्टिकल का खजाना खुदावंद ताला के पास है. और यहां पर 4 किस्म के खजानों की हम बात करेंगे कि अल्लाह हैज 4 काइंड ऑफ ट्रेजर ऑफ सोल्स, ताकि हम रीइनकार्नेशन को जड़ से काट देवे. Allah has 4 kind of souls in the shape of particles. Mineral soul, vegetative soul, animal soul and human soul. जब खुदा के पास ये चारों किस्म की रूहों का खजाना है, तो वो हमको क्यों जानवर बनाएगा, वो हमको क्यों दरख्त के अंदर ट्रांसफॉर्म कर देगा, वो क्यों हमको पत्थर बना देगा. ये सारी एग्जाम्पल्स हैं हमको समझाने के लिए. जब हम अपनी माँ के पेट के अंदर कंसीव होकर आते हैं, when our mother conceive our soul, initially their soul is in the shape of particles, is not alive yet. And then उसके अंदर सबसे पहली रूह आती है. कौन सी रूह आती होगी? आपने ऑलरेडी गेस कर लिया होगा, मिनरल सोल. क्योंकि मिनरल सोल कंपेयर टू पार्टिकल्स इज अलाइव, यानी कि मट्टी की रूह में भी जिंदगी होती है. किसके कंपैरिजन में? पार्टिकल के कंपैरिजन में, जर्रात के कंपैरिजन में. नाउ द सेकंड सोल कम्स आफ्टर दैट बेबी start to receive the nutrition within the mother's womb, and that soul is vegetative soul. Compared to vegetative soul, the mineral soul is more like a frozen and sleeping soul compared to vegetative soul. But compared to particles, the mineral soul, even the mineral soul has a zindagi, a life. It's a living soul. Even the mineral soul is a living soul. If you wanted to read more about it, look at in Sultan Muhammad Shah's May Our Soul Be Sacrificed to Their Imam memoirs के अंदर. Look in the memoirs and you will find it. अच्छा. Then after the baby start to grow within the mother, and when that child, the baby, is born in this world, until that point, our soul, see, to us, when we say soul, we just talk about soul. But actually, we should drill down and understand the attributions of our souls. What are the attributions of our soul? That's what we should drill down and understand. Because there are different attributions. हमारी रूह के जो जोहर है ना, essence, there are different attributions of our soul. Because our soul is combination of different steps, letter, and attributions. So when we are born, up until that point, we have two souls, or two kind of soul, or two attributions of soul. Even though we look like a human baby, but we have not received the human soul yet. What do we have? We have a mineral soul and vegetative soul. What does mineral soul do? It keeps us together. Mineral soul has a role to play in our body, and that is to keep us together. I'm going to go back and I'm going to give you a hint of this knowledge. It may be a little bit harder for some women to listen, and for that, in advance, I apologize. If for some reason a mother does not carry the baby to the fullest, and some reason the baby is dropped, or some reason something happens and baby does not make it, I'm sorry again, I don't want to touch on anyone's feeling. The reason is, because if you understand this, you will never complain to Mola Bapa anymore. The reason is because the second soul, the vegetative soul, never ever entered the womb of the mother into their baby. So the baby was not able to grow and the child was dropped. Okay. Now, when the baby is born, sometimes we again see baby is not growing. And again, I'm so sorry. I do not want it to hurt anyone's feeling, especially my sister and my mother's. Sometimes the child dies in early age, within a days, within a weeks, within a month. And the reason is the vegetative soul, which was entered into mother's womb, was either weak or not completely alive. And therefore, later on, the baby dies. But the best scenario, the baby starts to grow, and mother feeds the baby the milk, and when she talks to the baby, and that's why it's so important for us to talk to our babies, especially give them good tasbiyat, say good things to them, do some rhymes, some ginans, good things. Let them hear the good things. They receive the third soul. And this third soul is called Ruhe Natika, the speaking soul. Ruhe Natika, speaking soul. Ruhe Natika has two different attribution. One, Ruhe Natika at the level of animal, and second, Ruhe Natika at the level of human. Because we have not received the human soul yet, so what do we have? We have a Ruhe Natika, the speaking soul, but we make funny sounds which does not make any sense. Think of an animal. When animal makes sound, they just make sound. It does not make any word and does not make any sense to anyone. That is the sound the baby makes initially. Up to this point, even the baby looks a human baby. What is the difference between this baby and a baby of an animal? The baby is also born, you are also born. The animal makes sound, you are making sound. The animal is growing, you are growing. What is the difference between you and animal so far? Not much. Then the third comes the animal soul. Animal soul. जब animal की रूह आती है, when you receive the third soul, you are more movable. You can move much better. You're not just growing, but now you are also able to move. Functionality comes into our soul. और ये functionality की वजह से, due to this animal soul, you are able to move around and able to make sounds. You still don't have human soul yet. Then comes the human soul, which our Dai and Hujjatan have called rational soul. Human soul is also called rational soul. Why human soul is called rational soul? Because human are the one who has intellect, a way to rationalize between good and bad. Until then, we are no better than animal. But sometimes we see the human child grows up and never have any intellect. या तो वो पागल होता है, kind of, out of mind. या he talks, but he just talks foolishness. And what do we call them? The person of ignorant or person without the intellect. Because that person does not have rational soul, he is not able to say this is good and this is bad. Between the good and bad, he is not able to rationalize. And we know some people like that. Not necessarily they are mad or crazy people, but they're just not rational people. They are not able to rationalize. Meaning, they never received that additional soul, the rational soul. Now, up to this point, we look like human, we talk like human, and then if we have a rational soul, we act like human. But there is still one soul which makes us complete. I'm going to come back all the way to the front again. Allah said, I created human, this world, so they may recognize me. Now tell me, can you recognize Allah, Imam, without the rational soul, without the intellect, without being a human, a complete human? When I say complete human, means a complete human soul with rational soul. We can't, right? So what do? We need one more soul. एक और रूह की जरूरत है, and that is Ruhul Quddus, the Holy Spirit. the soul of Imam, the soul that Allah breathed into Adam. We need that soul. Now we are getting to nitty-gritty of your question. The soul that Allah breathed into Adam, and therefore Adam was able to recognize the Allah, and the angels were prostrating to Adam, but Iblis did not understand this part. He was not able to rationalize. He was not able to see. He was not able to see the nur, the soul in Adam, because this was additional soul that Allah has breathed into him, but not in Iblis. There's another question for another day. I hope you have received that article, the 28 question about Adam, an event and the story of Adam. 28 questions. If you read them, you will be amazed, inshallah, and you will be able to put 2 and 2 together. Acha. So we were born, we were sent in the shape of particle, and in the shape of particle, even though we were with Allah, we were in the treasure of the Allah, but we have not recognized the Allah. So we requested as a soul, and Allah said, I want you to recognize me. When we say, Ya Mola Baba, Ya Allah, we want you to recognize you. Allah said, if you want to recognize me, let me give you a life. Be human. Remember? We talked about that last week. Be human. Insan ban ke rehna. Be rationalized. And work hard to receive the last additional soul, the Holy Spirit, so you may recognize me. So you may recognize me. And that was the purpose of our life, and that is the reason we are here today, right now, learning what we are learning today. That answers your question, I believe.